The right for self-defense is a human right. Regardless if certain nations agree or disagree, being able to defend yourself and your family against those that mean to do you harm is just basic. And if you are of the self-defense mindset, it's a lifestyle. We carry because we want to be prepared to protect ourselves and our families and those who come under attack that it's unwarranted. With that, of course, our number one tool is our firearm. Especially if we're a concealed carry holder or you just decide you're going to carry regardless. And then of course next is a knife. And honestly this is a folding knife, but a fixed blade knife's even better. Those are the two items that we depend on the most to defend ourselves. But the problem is there are times where we don't have those items accessible. For whatever reason, we may be going through an airport, we may be going into a post office or a bank or a government building where, or a stadium with sports where they're checking and they have metal detectors, making sure that, for safety. But with that in mind, again, there are just times where you need items that serve dual purposes. And so we're going to look today at items that you carry on a regular basis, but that can be used in a self-defense situation. Now what got me thinking about this subject was a video I saw on the Active Self-Protection channel. It's a YouTube channel. John does a great job of analyzing real situations that are taken off of surveillance cameras and all kind of different live attacks that are captured. And it's really a great channel. But one of the things that the video that I watched that kind of got things started was a young Russian girl was sitting in a small office behind a desk, and a guy comes in with a hoodie and just attacks her. And I mean, it is a full-on attack. And this girl fights back. I mean, she fights back strong. But the guy's just bigger. He overpowers her. He's hitting her with things. And finally, she grabs the desk and she's holding on to it. And there are pins on the desk. And it just occurred to me, why didn't she grab one of those pins and just, stick it into this guy to get him off of her? Well, she finally broke loose and she did get away. And she did fight, which I was very proud of her for her effort. But just thinking about those tools that are right around you to be able to use those as an advantage. Guys, there are a number of different items that you can have on your person that is very discreet if you have them, concealed on your body. Something that you can just carry around every day. Nobody even notices. The big problem here is when you go through a checkpoint. And that's one of the things that I've really been thinking about for a while, because we recently went on a cruise, and once I unloaded my pocket, this was on my wife's keychain, which she carries all the time. And so, weren't really thinking about this as a weapon, but ended up having to throw this away to get through TSA. It just is what it is, and I wasn't willing to fight about it. But what was really unique about it and funny was I had this knife right here, but the blade is less than, or 3 inches and less. So they let me go on with this knife, but yet they wouldn't let me go on with this keychain, because this is considered a weapon. This is dual purpose. There's a number of things you can do with a knife. And so, as long as it falls within their parameters. Now, I actually had to get a manager over to okay carrying this knife on. But this knife is really expensive, and I was really kind of pleading a little bit. And they let me, because it fell under the rules of a knife blade under 3 inches or 3 inches or less. And that's not all cruise lines or the way you can get through TSA. But just happened to be with this cruise. Now, one of the things about this is that these are definitely weapons. I mean, they are, even this flashlight, which this is one of the Claris XT11s, excellent flashlight. And this is an attack bezel. This is not the normal crenulated bezel. You could probably get by with a very subdued crenulated bezel on this, but still, with the size of this flashlight, it would probably bring some concern. With this little diamond cut rambit, this is a really cool little piece, and but it's definitely perceived as a weapon. There's nothing really else you can really claim against that. Of course, fixed blade and the gun, and even this executive letter opener, which is a polymer knife. These have been around for a long time. These items, if you're going through a checkpoint, if you're going to a ball game, if you're going to the bank, if you're doing whatever, these are going to be suspect, and there are times where these are just not allowed. Now, these are items that I carry on an everyday basis. That serves purposes. I mean, you have your keys, you have a flashlight, and it's small. I have a writing pen, I have a wallet, and this is a multi-tool. Even though it has a knife with it, it kind of tones it down just because it's a multi-tool. and then you have your phone. So these items are things that I carry every day, but I don't necessarily consider them as a weapon. But yet each one can be used in self-defense. Now traditionally you have a key ring with keys on it, and a lot of people have talked about putting keys between your fingers. As you're walking through a parking lot, let's say it's at the mall, and you're heading to your vehicle, especially a woman that's has a lot of bags with her, go ahead and putting her keys in her hand like this and being able to use this in a self-defense situation. That is better than nothing, but it's really tough and it's rough on your hands. I'm going to tell you, you ever have to use it, it can really mess your hands up. But on the other hand, it's better than nothing. Now, one of the things about this key bar, and there's some other things out there that are similar, but I really like the key bar because I can really get a good handle on this and use this as an impact weapon. This gives me a little more. If you're popping somebody, and you think about it for you, if somebody's hitting you in the head with this, it's not very pleasurable. And so that is one thing that you can use as a tool to fight back. Of course, using the regular keys as well. Now, if you want to add the cat to it, in normal situations, this is a good option. My wife keeps one of these on her key ring at all times, and my daughter. And this is something that definitely is more effective than even the key bar. But again, you go through a checkpoint and they see this, and bye-bye kitty cat. You see this, and it's just some keys. And it definitely serves the purpose as your keys. Now, a flashlight is actually a tool that is used more than any other in self-defense situations. I've read this in a number of places, that people have used their flashlights to defend themselves. Now, one of the problems is the size of this light. Of course, then we have even smaller lights. In fact, there are an array of different small EDC pocket lights. The thing is, the larger they are, the harder they are to carry every day, but the better they are in a self-defense situation. And then we move on up the scale to a little bit of a larger light that you can actually get in your hand and use this for impact. But what's really effective is when you have a bezel that you can use to really make this an impact weapon with this crenulation. So we've got crenulated bezels on these two, which are larger. These are Olights. This is the Striker, the M18 Striker. A great light. Then we have the 1MX Striker. And these are great defensive lights that can still fit in your pocket. Now for me, I don't necessarily carry lights this large in my pocket unless I'm going into an area where there may be trouble. There may be a certain side of town I have to go pick up someone. I may have to meet somebody at a restaurant on the other side in a place that could have some issues. I'm going to carry a light like this. I'm going to stick this in my pocket. I can handle it for a few hours while I'm out and about. It's going to be a lot more effective than this small little Olight EOS 3. Keeping something like this in your car where you can just switch it out if you're in an area that you feel a little bit uncomfortable in that area. Guys, another thing too is sometimes it's less than lethal response. You may have a knife, you may have a gun, but it's better to pull out the flashlight in certain instances, especially if you're already being grappled with and you've got to defend yourself. So while these small flashlights can be used, you can get a hold of this, and if you get the right grip and let it come out of your hand, you could use this against someone if you had to. But to be honest with you, I would much rather have this in that situation. Of course, the flashlight, grab hold of it. I mean, you can really get some good solid strikes, not only in the face, it's according to where they are. I mean, hit them in those pressure points, learn your pressure points. Bring out the crenulated bezel. Yeah. Please, don't hit me with one of these. Now, the multi-tool is something that a lot of guys carry. I typically do not carry a multi-tool as EDC. I usually have one close by in my truck or in an EDC pack, so it's just something else in my pocket. But one of the things about a multi-tool is that it serves dual purposes. Even though a knife does, this is not near as sinister. And I just happened to grab this little SOG Power Duo where you don't even think about the knife being on here. But the great thing is you do have the knife available, but you can also use this again as an impact tool. Same thing with a multi-tool, same kind of concept. Just get a good grip on it, use it wherever you need to get a good pressure point in the throat, wherever it is. Of according to how determined the attacker is. Now, one of the beautiful things about Kydex is that it's rigid and it's strong. And a lot of times we've been using these like for wallets and billfolds. Here we have your traditional billfold. This is completely useless in a self-defense situation. This is from Hellbent Holsters, a really cool company, has the titanium clip, and there's a lot of different styles. Now, I went ahead and emptied it out, but you can use this if you grab it as a tool, as a weapon. Whoa, 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 you want my wallet? Here, hold on. Didn't even damage it. Now, one thing that a lot of people just would not consider is using your phone. Now, these phones are super expensive, but if it's a life and death struggle, if you're being beaten down, this could be a lot cheaper than a hospital bill. Taking this phone and using it, grabbing it and using it to however you can to dislodge an attack, to discourage an attack, popping somebody in the face with an iPhone or an Android is not pleasant. And, you know, that is definitely something that, you know, you could use. I would obviously use this as a last resort because I wouldn't want to tear my phone up. But I'm more important and my family's more important than this phone. I can always get another phone. Having a good pen, even if it's a plastic pen, is something that you can grab hold of and use if you need to. Now, it could possibly break fairly quickly, but it's something that is better than nothing, definitely. Now, if I want to move up, I can go to a metal pen, like this space pen. Gives me a little bit more, it's aluminum, so it's metal, and this will give me a little more strength. But, of course, there are so many different tactical pens out on the market. This even has a small pressure point right here, and it's got a flat space at the top, so I can grab it and really use this in a defensive situation. And then if I need to write something, of course, I can write. Obviously, it's something that people carry all the time with a pen, so it's going to be a lot easier to get through any kind of questioning with just a standard pen like this. But if this is all you got, use it. Standard writing pen. I mean, and it's still holding up. And this is a lot harder than regular flesh. Pull out the tactical pen. I mean, you can feel the difference. One blow to the neck, and he's going to be begging for air. Of course, there are different little multi-tools. This is a Griffin pocket tool. This is actually the prototype before he started production on it. And we did some testing with it, but I have some of these in some EDC packs. They're great. They're large, so I can use it. And of course, this is just a little charade, and it's used as a bottle opener or whatever. But, you know, you can grab hold of these and use them in a self-defense situation if you have to. And so these are two things to kind of think about, again, that serve multiple purposes. Now, using this little Griffin pocket tool, because there's a lot of sharp edges, you want to make sure you get a hold of it in the right area where you're not damaging your hand. But getting your thumb behind this, I mean, that's not a lot of discomfort to the hand. Now, a pocket full of change can be super annoying, and of course, in the age of debit and credit cards, a lot of times we don't have cash and definitely change around. But one of the things, having a good bit of change, you can use this either to distract an attacker by reaching in your pocket, grabbing the change, and throwing it at them to get them distracted so you can get out of the area, or, which is my favorite, is a possible bandana or a sock, and fill this up into this sock. Now you have an improvised weapon that is pretty effective. In fact, if you ever watch the old Charles Bronson Death Wish movies, that's one of the tricks he used. Now, is this going to be something you can just deploy quickly? No, you got to take your sock off. If you have a bandana, you can fill it up. But one of the things too is it's not always just an imminent attack immediately. Sometimes, you know, you may be on the run and you have the time to get that sock off, fill up your change, and use this for whatever. But, you know, a lot of times we want to identify an attack before it happens. And guys, it can happen at any time. It can be a lot of different type situations. So sometimes you have time to prepare, sometimes you don't. But having this in your toolbox, at least to think about. Of course, the old loose change in a sock. That don't feel good. If you have a backpack on, you can use this to shield an attack. Get this thing in front of you if someone's using it, or you can actually swing this thing and hit them with it. But one way just to get things to slow down. Now, having a backpack, I can pull it out, I can get it in between me and the attacker. And so that just gives me another space, especially if he has a weapon. And being able to keep it, you know, and get a good, tight, firm grip on it so he doesn't take it from you, but be able to just defend yourself. If he tries to take the backpack just to take it, it's better to let him have it than to be killed, especially if he has a knife or a gun. And with a small pack like this, it has a handle. You've got a lot of gear in here. You can use it to knock somebody upside the head with it. So just thinking about those things that you have available. And of course, a standard little pouch like this, I mean, you know, that works to kind of, who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Now, one thing that would be a little bit out of the ordinary is an umbrella. If it's raining, having a good, solid, long umbrella would give you something to be able to protect yourself with. Grabbing hold of it, I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, now it's going to probably bend this thing and mess it up, but it'll get you away from the attack, or you can use it as a point. Wow, I might start carrying one of these. And then also a little short umbrella even. You could use this if you needed to. Of course, all these things can damage whatever you have, but definitely a good weapon to be able to use. And this is a lot more compact. Then of course the compact version, hey, it works. Honestly, this has been working for old ladies for years. And of course, even a walking cane, especially for the elderly, carrying something, and this is a hardwood cane, so it's pretty solid. There was recently an elderly man on a bus, and the driver was being attacked by one of the passengers, and the elderly man took this stick and beat that guy off. And in fact, the cops showed up and took the guy away, but he was really giving it to the bus driver, so it was really good to see this man step up, which needed a cane, so he was already in kind of bad physical shape. But this really drove that guy away, and he ended up saving the day. Oh. You know, you're walking with your walking stick, and then somebody comes up and you pop them like that. It's a pretty good stick. And a watch is also an option, but a good blow to the face or the head with this watch definitely would deter a lot of attackers. James Bond took a Rolex and took out a bad guy. Now, this is a Hazard 4 deep dive watch, and I'm not going to do that because I can't write it off my expense account. Now, one serious defense tool is a belt, and actually I had this on the list and forgot it. And this is one thing that really, you know, having this around your waist, you can pull this out very quickly. The buckle can be used as a defensive tool. You can wrap this around your fingers and your hand, and that really gives you a really good weapon to be able to toss this thing and keep someone at bay. So a belt is definitely one of the things that I would consider to be one of those things you keep your pants up, but also could be used. Guys, even a plastic water bottle can be used if it's got liquid in it. You can use this, you can throw it, you can hit them, especially even if it's about half full. It makes it a really good weapon. Taking a drink of water. Hey, hold on a minute. And then run. But what's even better is using a metal container. So if you have your coffee or your water or whatever you're drinking, that metal container can also be used in a self-defense situation. Same thing can be done with a metal container. Whoa, timber. Oh man, I dented this thing. Oh crap, Shannon's gonna be pissed. She loves this cup. It's funny, but early morning is a time when a lot of robberies and muggings and attacks happen. People are on their way to work, they're coming out of their house, they're not really thinking, and people are waiting on them. They've been up all night, and this has happened a number of times even in our area. And one of the things I like to do is I have a good cup of coffee every morning. In fact, I have 3 or 4. And on my way over to the shop, I've got a cup of coffee in my hand, and it's a hot cup of coffee. And one thing about that is if anyone ever jumps out at me, the first thing I'm going to do is throw this in their face. Of course, in the early morning, drinking my coffee, it's nice and hot. I'm really enjoying it. Someone comes out at me, like in my driveway or wherever they are, and then it's time to do that. That was hot, wasn't it? Man, now I'm out of coffee. Now, I need to make a disclaimer that all the demonstration that I'm showing is for someone that's being attacked in a self-defense situation. This is in no way meant to be something to do as an aggressor. You know, shooting dummy here, he's just an evil dude. And he takes a lot of bullets and he takes a lot of flak, but he's just evil. So we're going to demonstrate on him. But if you use this in an aggressive manner towards someone else, you're dead to me. Now guys, if there's some things that I missed or some ideas that you have, please leave them down in the comments below. That's a great way for people to look, and they look through the comments, and it really helps to kind of solidify a plan and gets people really thinking. You never have an excuse not to be prepared, and that's really what this is about. And as Winston Churchill said, never, never, never give up. So guys, if you're faced with a self-defense situation, of course the first thing to do is to get out of the area, if you can possibly do it, to flee, to move. But if you can't and you have to stand your ground, fight. Fight with everything you've got. Be determined and take out that aggressor. You know, it's a tough situation, and sometimes you can be, you know, under a gun and you can't necessarily without being killed. But as long as it's in you, fight and stand for what's right. You know, the old saying is, you know, the pen is mightier than the sword. Well, here again, the pen is mightier than the sword that you left at home. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Having a little drink of water. Somebody comes up on you, take that water bottle and just, whoops, miss. You know, if I ever had to throw this cup of coffee at someone, I think it would really make me mad that I lost my cup of coffee. And of course, one of the, what's that? Jeremy, hope you're watching this. I need another cup. Freedom Munitions is awesome. I know, I'm sorry I called you evil. It was just for the camera. It was just as a disclaimer. You're just really a good friend of mine. So I just want you to know that. So, you know, Rubber Dummy's a good guy, guys. He's a good guy.